I'll entertain a motion to open the meeting to the public.
So made.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Welcome, public.
Hearing about quality of life, my quality of life went downhill. Bill Donegan can't help me, the police can't help me, and they told me to come here. And the problem is, and then even speaking about LED lights, across the street on Carteret, 3 houses down, they put in these powerful LED floodlights shining right into my house. It's about 150 feet away. I approached them the Monday before Halloween to bring it to their attention. And they originally were using it, they have 4 boxes, and they were originally letting the dogs in the yard for however long. And after I asked them to please lower it down onto your own property, they were keeping it on all night long. So you try to be a good neighbor, you try to resolve the problem, and they come back and bust your chops. Okay? I went to Bill Donegan. I went to pay, I don't know, sewer bill taxes, 11-1. Bill says he can't help me. There is no residential ordinance for lighting. If it was a commercial building, he could help me. He could have that commercial building, tell them, lower the floodlight. Right? So he suggested I talk to them again. I did. I got nowhere. I called the police, and out of frustration, I called the police. Because to me now, this is harassment. They're literally making my life miserable. Because I would like to ask every one of you, how would you like to? I have 3 small windows in my kitchen door. I come in and out of my kitchen door. I have a ranch with a deck on the side. Right before it gets dark, I have to lower my level or blinds and take a towel with clothespins and put a towel up so that I could block some of it. Now, when I go onto my deck to either walk the dog or let the dog take last week's, okay, it's like this. So I'm here begging you. I'm begging you to help me. I don't know what else to do. The police told me they can, I said, look, if it's a slow night, could you please have a cop just come by so he could see? I took pictures. Pictures do nothing. You can't, it's like taking a picture of the moon, okay? You can't, you just can't
You have an address
see it.
that you're talking about, the actual address?
This is what it looks like, okay? You can take my camera and pass it around. They said there is no ordinance to enforce them to lower the floodlight.
You have an address for that house?
7 Carteret. So ironically tonight, the house is completely dark. Because Sunday morning, they have a ring. I went in front and stood in front of their ring and invited them to come tonight. Be a man. Come and stand in front of the council with me and explain to them how you can't lower your floodlight. The house was completely dark today. So it was ironic that you talked about quality of life and LEDs. These LED floodlights, I looked them up online. They are very, very powerful. I'm talking 150 feet. It comes into my kitchen, into my living room. And ironically, you could see the level or blind streaks along my wall. So my only recourse is to put up a towel. 3 times I have asked them, and 3 times I get nowhere. So here I have to come tonight and beg. I'm begging.
Would you leave us your contact information?
It's KOS,
Don't
LOS.
say it public, record, don't say it public.
I don't care.
I do.
You could look it up.
No, I do, so write it down.
And
Write down your phone number, we can reach you at, and your address, please, and spell
Okay.
in that last name.
okay,
All right.
because it's just. And the other thing is, you made me think of Mary Tackus.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's, write down your contact information for us, okay?
So do you think you could help me?
Well, let's, we'll take a look at it, I'll work with our attorney and see what we can find. And maybe this is a case where we have to take a look at our ordinances for nuisances. If that's what it is, we have to look into it. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
I can't afford a smartphone, so I only have a house phone.
That's
But,
okay, listen, here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna ask my attorney, which I just did, to look into our ordinances such as nuisances. Such as someone trying to enlighten your eyes, and see if we have an ordinance that addresses that. If not, then let's take a look at what we can do. Meanwhile, I'll ask some of the other council people, we're not gonna tell you, but we'll ride by there and we'll observe what's going on.
let's just
And so-
hope that, they know I'm here today. They know it.
Well, good, maybe
So maybe
they'll.
they'll be good for 5 days, maybe 6 days.
But I'll periodically, I'm always out around and about town, that's why you won't find me in the office. I'll just take a ride.
Just to let you know, even during the day, you could, if you're standing on my deck, you're more than welcome to come on my property. You stand on my deck, you could see how that floodlight is directly coming.
Give us an opportunity to look into it, okay?
Okay, I appreciate,
Thank you.
I mean, on a simple thing, if we have a commercial, 'cause I like Mr. Donegan, okay? He really
He's good.
tried to help me.
Yes, he does.
He said if it was commercial, so maybe something as simple as adding residential to it.
Let us look into it,
Okay. Thank
all
you.
right?
Thanks for coming.
Name your phone.
Oh, here.
Your account.
More public?
Good evening, Council. My name is Jeffrey Oakes. I'm from Oceanport, New Jersey. I came here a long way tonight. I'm not well. I'm quite sick. I have stage 4 cancer. But I came up here to address the council's need for information on cannabis. I happen to be one of the foremost advocates in the medical cannabis program that fits almost over probably 70,000 patients now. And I've publicly spoken at countless meetings along with my friend Lefty here and the group that we work with. It's called Sativa Cross. We have an extensive amount of patients in our group that speak all over, and many of us in the group are responsible for some of the improvements in the medical program that we know now as Jake's Law. I myself advocated publicly for unlimited monthly amounts for patients with terminal cancer. That's what I am tonight, standing before you here. Excuse me, a little winded. Very emotional. In my experience traveling around the state, I've seen a lot of stigma associated with cannabis and the legalization of it. Which piece of marijuana is medical and which piece is recreational. But when you take it into your system, it doesn't do anything different to you because it's medical or recreational. It has the same medical benefits. Not like alcohol. There is no real medical benefit to binge drinking alcohol. So we advocate for cannabis. We advocate for the legalization of it, for it to be normalized at least, even if it's only for medical. It can be normalized to relieve our communities of the extensive problem of opioids. which I know you guys had a presentation of some folks from the addiction services, and I can tell you as a patient and as an advocate, and from my standpoint as a patient, some of these addiction services, everybody that is at the table has skin in the game. They make their living off of what? Getting people off of opioids. So they don't want people on medical cannabis like myself that are opioid free for the most part. I just started using it because the amount of pain that I'm in. I used a 0.5 oxycodone with the medical cannabis that I can't afford. But because of the public stigma, which I don't know if it exists in this council, I would hope that it doesn't. We as patients, we struggle with the cost. We're disabled. We can't work. We don't have any money. You know, it's not covered by insurance. You know, thankfully, workers' compensation in New Jersey has started to cover it. And I'm hoping that my claim, workers' comp claim, will go through, and that I can be part of the process of seeing it cannabis become a common theme in health, as similar as an aspirin would be for pain, and a safe alternative to opioids. I don't know where the council stands. I know you're looking for information. I stand here before you as probably the foremost patient, like I said, in the program, and I invite any questions that you may have. And I know you have some issues, and rightly so, with vaping, and I'm glad that you had a presentation here. But please remember, the people that you're hearing from, they have a skin in the game. These are people that are in addiction services coming to talk about vape pens. This is what I use for my cancer. It has a little battery in it, not a battery, but it charges, a little phone charger. Cannabis oil, high potency goes in the end. There's no vitamin E oil. The issue with vaping is the vitamin E oil. Most of us that have studied the issue, we pretty much know that by now. So I also advocate for safe vaping. Instead of telling our kids vaping is bad, let's tell them the right way to do it. Because you know what? Kids vape too. You want to know why? Because they're in the medical marijuana program. So we just shouldn't lie to our kids. We should tell them the truth about what cannabis is about and the potential that it has. Many of us say, well, we need more study. What more do we need? We did studies in 1976, I think, in the Medical University of Virginia. And they were looking for bad things from cannabis. You know what they found? They found that it reduces the size of the tumors, the federal government. And the woman that spoke here, I don't know her name, she has blonde hair. She made a perfect presentation of what the cannabinoid system is and how we're related to it biophysically and what it means to us to be associated with these cannabinoids. And the reason we see illness, or so much illness, is dietary deficiency. Guess what? If we don't use cannabis, our body makes cannabinoids, whether we like it or not. And if we don't have the proper nutrition to convert to cannabinoids, we're toast. You want to worry about something? Forget about cannabis. Worry about the bees. Because if we don't have bees, we're all dead. What else? Does anyone have any questions? Because I think I can't help people. Thank you.
Thank you for your input.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. My name is Edward Grimes from East Hanover. I advocate for sick and dying people. In the Bible, it says that's what we're supposed to do. I know you've all read the Bible. I don't need to come from East Hanover to tell you about the Bible. You're supposed to put the last first and the first last. And I see a lot of very little compassion from our government all over the state when it comes to people in wheelchairs and people on cannabis. And they go hand in hand because a lot of people that are in wheelchairs need cannabis. A lot of people in cannabis world need wheelchairs. And I know you said you want to separate the issue between medical and recreational. I appreciate that because it's very important. But I'm not really here for recreational. I'm here for patients that are sick and dying that need it, like Jeff. The problem is when you say not in my town, how far do you want someone in a wheelchair to go? Because these people in wheelchairs have no money. They're on disability like me. They have no ride. To get a ride somewhere, it's a big deal. So you have to think about people in wheelchairs first, not last. And we need to do that soon. I do a podcast at the State House, and at the end of our podcast, there's a list. The first person on our list, her name is Cheryl Miller. Jim Miller used to push his wife around in a bed. She had multiple sclerosis, and she couldn't move her arms or legs. And she actually fought from her bed. They pushed her around to Bob Andrews' office. They pushed her around to Washington. She fought with her head. That's all she could fight with. And she knew she would never see medical cannabis in her lifetime. She still fought, just like Jeff fights. And she still fought for us. And that's the reason why she's on our list. She's the first person that's on our list because she's the reason we have medical cannabis in New Jersey. If you Google her, you'll find out. Sabina Rose was a 15-month-old baby here in Hopatcong. She lived here in Hopatcong. I don't know if you heard her name, but Sabina Rose Joanna. 15-month baby, year-old baby. 15-month-old baby died from a 25-hour seizure. I don't know if I can ever handle a 25-minute seizure. This baby had a 25-hour seizure and died in her mother's arms. And this ordinance that you would put in place for banning medical would put more hoops in front of these families, more obstacles for them to overcome when they have enough.
We don't have an ordinance.
I know, but you're considering an ordinance, or you're considering what to do
Recreation.
for recreation. Okay, I
Get that
appreciate
straight.
that. Good, thank you. That's very important.
Yes, it
It's
is.
very important because we need medical cannabis. I'm a medical patient myself. I have a fusion, L4, L5, artificial disc, L5S1. I had a 2-level cervical fusion back in January. I used 0 opiates. 0 opiates because I use medical cannabis. Oils, suppositories, it helps, it worked. Diandra Patella, Lou Gehrig's disease. Gracie, Cindy May, Marie, Jack, Joan Ford, who grew up in the 40s with epilepsy. The nuns used to throw holy water on Joan when she'd have her seizure, but they didn't know. They didn't know. They thought she was possessed by the devil. Poor girl's having a seizure, and they didn't know any better back then. Randy Robertson, he had the Whipple procedure. You know what the Whipple procedure is? When you have cancer and they rip out every one of your organs. Every one of his organs. But they wouldn't give him cannabis in Pennsylvania. They wouldn't give him cannabis until after they ripped out all his organs. Then they gave him cannabis. A lot of times they'll do brain surgeries on children before they give them cannabis too. Holly Connolly, Bill Buckman, Chad, Jeremy, Colette, Matt, Troy from pancreatic cancer, Roy, Russ Perry, Roger Barber, who fought for his daughter Jenny to use her medicine in school because mother had to go to school and actually take time off from work, go to the school, pick up her daughter, bring her across the 3,000 feet away, then give her the medicine. The girl's autistic. She thought she was going home. No way to treat sick and dying people as Christians. Jay Oleto, Ella Bagelman, Hattie Koshel, Jackie Rickard, Anthony J. Koenig, little kid, 10 years old with cancer. He said to the doctor, I don't want a wheelchair. I want to walk to the operating table. And that's what he did. He walked. He walked. Yeah. He walked up there. He said, fix me, Doc. But they couldn't fix Jake. He died, too. All the people on this list are dead, by the way. Alicia Armando. Armando had spine cancer, tailbone cancer. Lynn, Dan, Maureen, Vet, Sean McKay. Joyce, Lori, Frank, Brian, Flo, Carl, Thorne. My brother-in-law, Frank. This year in June, I was rebaptized in Liquid Church. And that night, Frank overdosed on fentanyl. So I talk about Frank. Because I didn't do enough to help Frank. I played defense. I put cameras on my house. I locked all my doors to keep him from robbing me. But I didn't do enough to reach out and help him like I should have. And I'm going to have to live with that. I was scared. When you see somebody in an active addiction, you want to help them, but at the same point, you don't want to hurt yourself. And that's what was happening. But that wasn't Christian. I should have done more. I should have kept going. I didn't do enough.
You're almost.
Lauren, Terry, Michael Dillon. Drop seizure. Michael Dillon died back in the drop. They went with songs to the battle. They were young, straight of limb, true of eye, steady and aglow. They were staunch to the end against odds uncounted. They fell with their faces to the foe. They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
Thank you. More public? Hearing none.
Dave, just back.
Come on up.
Meeting wouldn't be complete without hearing from me.
Welcome, Dave.
David Harris. Could you please tell us what I is under resolutions? What is that?
Oh, that's the redevelopment area, Hudson Mackin School.
That's what?
Including the school and
Yeah, Hudson Mackin School in the redevelopment area.
Oh, that's what. On the town, is the pound open for the public?
The shelter.
I'm sorry. Shelter. Okay, the shelter.
If Jan is there, sure.
Oh, hours of operations are on the thing.
And when are they?
You got the days of the week and the hours that they're open.
I see. And approximately, are there a lot of animals there?
Not many.
Okay.
One dog.
Well, we got cats, and they're great. I go visit them all the time.
I have 4 cats already.
So if you want a fifth cat, want a fifth? Or
Yeah.
I want a fifth cat, there's one for you.
I want a 5th, thank you. One other question. The animal control officer, I received a report on her activities for last month or the month before. I noticed she went to Sparta and she went to Newton. Are we involved with these other communities?
Yes, we do share services.
I see, so they pay us for our officer going there?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you
We
very
do.
much.
And sometimes it's mutual support. If it's even if we don't have a shared service, if a town gets in trouble and they need and Gianna is a enforcement officer.
Right.
And so she replaced the ASPCA, if you will. And so if the town gets in trouble and they ask us for help, we're going to help them. As any enforcement officer would.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening.
Heather, Gary, 313 Avenue. I have a question, but I don't know if it might be for you. The Mariners Point, is that 75% or more sold? The only reason I ask is because they're voting on releasing the performance bond. You need to know that. Then it means that it wasn't turned over to the association of homeowners.
The engineer makes the recommendation when the improvements, when the performance part of the bond is done, to go to the maintenance bond. He made the recommendation, I don't know.
So there's a maintenance bond as well. It's
Performance
still,
bond, and there's a maintenance bond.
well, yeah, I just want to make sure that there's a maintenance bond there. How much is the maintenance bond?
I don't know.
Rough idea.
No idea.
And that one's still in place.
That, when the performance bond goes out, the maintenance bond comes in.
Okay.
Public. Welcome.
Evening, Council. I've actually lived in this town here for about a year. I just wanted to come before you just to express a couple of things. I'm also with these individuals here with the medical marijuana program. But I'm not going to take much of your time. I lived for a small period of time after I exited the United States military in San Diego, California. There, I was able to, with a couple of doctors, deal with some things that I didn't otherwise seem to be able to cope with. Not only referring to PTSD, but some other things that I just keep to myself. And this changed my life, and I never became a daily user. I think you just, if you're going to see the faces of cannabis, I'd like for you to see this one. One of an honorable Navy veteran, resident of Utah.
Thank you.
Thank you for your service.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Sanjay Chaudhary. I'm a homeowner in Hopatcong. I have a home at 2 Elizabeth Place. I'm not with Sativa Cross, but I know Sativa Cross. I'm also a patient, a medical cannabis patient in this state, and I heard some of the statements after the last meeting that I believe you made, Mayor, saying that if the state legalized, that you would look to put a ban on it or to reverse
Recreational marijuana.
on recreational.
Correct.
don't really differentiate medical and recreational.
I do.
I know there is a difference, but part of what we're trying to change. I'm with the Cannabis Wars Alliance. We're working to sort of change ends the stigmas and some of the atrocities that have happened because of the war on cannabis. Even the word that we use for it, most people use the word marijuana. But the reason it is marijuana, which is a Spanish word for cannabis, is because in 1937, when it was prohibited in this country, they wanted to associate it with the Latino population. So that's why we say marijuana in this country. It was originally linked to that, so a lot of people now say cannabis, because that's the scientific word for it. And part of it, even then, just that it's associated with these communities, was just to kind of paint it in a negative way. There's so many things as Americans we have freedoms to do. You can smoke cigarettes that cause cancer, you can drink alcohol that's had a history of domestic violence, physical violence. Cannabis is something that it's a plant that's prescribed for dozens of different medical conditions. If you have an endocannabinoid system, everyone does. For some people, we have faulty endocannabinoid systems that don't make enough or don't absorb them efficiently. Most adults and children on the autistic spectrum have faulty cannabinoid systems, which is why being on the autistic spectrum in Pennsylvania, having anxiety in this state is a qualifying condition for it. But our bodies are so closely linked to this cannabis plant that so many of us have such a stigma to cannabis that it's something that, if you're of the religious persuasion God put on earth for all of us to consume, and if you believe in science, evolution sort of links that part of evolution of man is in relation to us consuming cannabis. Our bodies, most of the main organs have, and their cannabinoid receptors, our heart, our brain, our liver, our stomach, and it's so closely linked to, to our human body. So I think part of it, we need to try to work to just end the racist reasons why marijuana is used in this country, that word, and just try to be more scientific minded. Just towards that this is a plant that helps with so many different conditions. As a society, we're wound up with people going into schools shooting, people are just on edge. And I think it's a plant it's a peaceful plant, it's a loving plant, it's a healing plant, it's the flower of a plant. It's not, something that can really destroy your body. No one dies from cannabis usage. It's been prescribed as an exit drug from the opiate epidemic in Pennsylvania and now in New Jersey too. There's so many benefits to the plant, so it's really differentiated, say medical and recreational. Sure, it's recreational or adult use, but it can serve people as a society. We're just wound up, and I think versus the other things that people are allowed to do, drink alcohol, smoke cigarettes, it's a beneficial thing to use. So if we can try to look at it from a different state of mind, I think it's easy to do that. Separately, I know you guys are doing a lot about sustainability here. I have a sustainable soil company, Susan Green Soil, and I know Governor Murphy was here about the blooms, the algae blooms in Lake Hopatcong, which a lot of money is going into. I think if you guys were to have more regulations about what lawn treatment people can use on their lawns, it could reduce greatly the amount of the blooms that are occurring. This is that occurs from too many phosphates and nitrates in the water. Which I know a lot of corporations can use if there are any greenhouses here using any kind of hydroponic production that uses a lot of wastewater that can cause those kinds of things. But also, even the community using fertilizers it will run off and cause that to happen. So if you were to put in an ordinance not allowing that, and
We got
practice.
It's in place.
Oh, is there? So no one can
You
use
can't
any.
buy it in this store.
Oh, really? Okay, that's good. That's good to know. There are other sustainable things people can do also: composting, community-wide composting, vermicomposting.
We have that too.
Oh yeah, that's good. You guys are composting here, so people can collect their.
You can see the pile of leaves in our recycling
Oh,
center.
okay. All right. Well, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it, and I just hope in the future, if cannabis is legalized, we all will just keep an open mind to it.
Thank you for
I know
your
you said
input.
the community.
This is a learning process.
Care for each other. There's a lot to it. It's not just about people getting high. There's a lot of medicine in those plants, and I think can help all of us one way or another. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. More public?
More offenses, creating an image that's just not appealing, But I think there's a sensible way to approach it. I would personally love to be in an environment where I could grow. This experience very much a farm it's very much a farm county. And that starts in home. That's my
Thank you.
Thank you.
More public?
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Council. My name is Chris Almada from Dover, New Jersey. Lived there, grew up there. Suffered a car accident about 3 years ago. Shattered my pelvis, ripped my urethra, almost died. And felt I was getting prescribed a lot of opiates, stuff like that. Got myself in depression real bad. And just want to take that stigma away from cannabis. Even me being young, growing up, it was always seen as bad. Now that I'm older, I understand it more, research it more information on it now. Also, I feel like I am a proof of everything. I got out of these nerve blocking medications they were giving me, not allowing me not to walk, keeping me in the wheelchair. Just, you know, it's a fight for all of us. Even for me to come out here, days like this, my hips hurt, spine hurts sometimes. It's rough. I have to let it be known. You know, I can't just let it go, just not answered. You know, I have to do it. Even for my generation, I feel like my generation isn't pushing it enough for it. Another topic is how he mentioned his homegirl on disability, don't make much money. I get prescribed 2 ounces, it's $1,000. I get disability, that's pretty much my whole disability check. I have a son, he's 3 years old, you know, it's hard. And I hope when legalization does come by, hopefully we get past some homegrown stuff through the state. Maybe you guys, you know, help some way, somehow, or anything.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for helping us understand all sides of the story.
Yes.
Appreciate it. More public?
Jennifer Johnson, 630 Cognac. I just wanted to ask if the animal shelter has heat.
Absolutely, yeah.
When did that come back?
It's back.
Since today? Today?
We've had a temporary heater. And we had
Well,
problems.
yeah, they had that, but it was like 60. I'm adopting a cat.
Yeah.
That's 60
Nice
degrees
cat.
in there. Did you see him?
Yes, I visit there all the time.
The gray one, the little baby gray one.
Yeah.
That's my guy. So yeah.
Thank you.
All
You want
right,
to?
No, I just adopted one.
But we
there.
got some beautiful.
In November. I
They're
know.
beauty. I go talk to them all the time.
It's 2 kids, 2 cats. That's what
I talk to them, you know.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. More public? Going once?
Move to bring it back.
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Vote? We're back.